Well, welcome to Module 5. Keeping the congregation focused on what you say is not easy. You've probably heard the words, say it 3 times. In this module, you'll be introduced to Neuro-Linguistics Programming, or NLP. If you understand NLP, then you will say everything 3 times. However, you'll say it 3 times, 3 different ways, if you will, the same thing, to capture anyone's attention. Now, neurolinguistics programming is used by psychologists when they're analyzing people. I'm not taking you down that road, but what I am saying to you is people learn in 3 different ways: visually, auditorially, kinesthetically. So visual learners like to see things, charts, graphs, visual things, graphics, outlines, all that stuff. If you look at their eyes, and so you can see my eyes. If you look at their eyes, let me take my glasses off, and you're talking to them, they will tend to look up. And then they'll look down, and then they'll look up. Now, that doesn't mean they're ignoring you. That's their thinking going on. That's their processing the information in. Auditory learners will look side to side like that. They're looking at their ears. Kinesthetic learners are going to learn and process information in the way things feel, and they will look down. They'll look at you and then they'll look down. That's because they're processing information in that way. Now imagine if you could write your sermon and deliver your sermon so that you could be able to communicate with the visual learners, the kinesthetic learners, the auditory learners. Now, wouldn't that be worth doing? And I think the answer to that is yes, because you then can grasp all of them. And that's the key here to the puzzle. So when you go to the workbook, I ask if you would take a moment and think about how you would capture people and keep their imagination with you, keep their attention. And then I'm going to ask you to read Isaiah 5:1-7. It's the parable of the vineyard. And see if you could explain the parable as a pure visual learner, then as a pure auditory learner, then as a pure kinesthetic learner. And then write your answers down in the workbook. And remember now, let me give you a couple extra hints. Visual learners will use words like, I see this, I saw this, in my sights, things like that. Auditory learners will say, I hear you. And kinesthetics will say, well, that makes me feel good all over. It makes me feel warm. That's in general. If you look up NLP, Neurolinguistics Programming, on the internet using Google, you will find a ton of information. I just focus in my sermons on saying things visually, auditorily, kinesthetically. So go ahead and go to the workbook, and I'll see you in the next module.